Hi, this is Ms. Lick, and today we're going to be working on the letter C. This presentation is called the two C's, hard and soft. And this is because the letter C can make two different sounds, which we will see are called the hard C and the soft C. You might not realize that C makes two different sounds and that we can really call them two different C's, but it's true. Most consonants, unlike the letter C, only make one sound. For example, the letter M makes the sound M. The letter N makes the sound N. The letter J makes the sound J. And all of those letters, you always know what sound they make. But with the letter C, it's different. There are two different sounds that C can make. The first one is the sound K, and this is the same sound as the letter K makes. We call this the hard C. But other times, C can make the sound S, which is the same sound as the letter S makes, and we call this the soft C. The hard C is the one that we see the most often. This is the C that we see in all of these words on this page. So you can pause the presentation and take a minute to read some of these words and practice the hard C sound, which is K. So the words that you practiced are cone, cake, clap, cop, cow, car, can, and tick. And in all of these words you hear the same K sound is repeated. One tip for you is that if you ever see C right before K, you know that it's a hard C because K makes the K sound, and when C is right next to it like this, the C copies the same K sound as the K, and so CK together will always have the hard C K sound. Here are some examples of words with CK. Pause the video and practice reading them. So these words are cracker, black, duck, and rock, and those all have a hard C sound. The soft C is a little bit different. In soft C, the C does not make a K sound, it actually makes a S sound. Here are words that use the soft C. Pause the video and practice reading them. So these words are cider, cereal, scent, celery, city, and face. They all have that same S sound, but they don't use the letter S, they use the letter C, or soft C. You might wonder how we are supposed to know if the C is going to be hard or soft. So look at the words listed here under hard C and soft C, and look at the letter after the C. See if you can see any patterns on what kinds of letters are after the C in those two different groups. So pause the video and look at the words for a minute. Okay, we'll look on the next slide to see if we can find what those patterns are. So the pattern is that every time the letter after C is I, E, or Y, the C is soft. But every time the letter after C is not I, E, or Y, the C is hard. So every time you see I, E, or Y after the C, you know it's a soft C and it will make the sound S. But if you see any other letter, whether it's a vowel or a consonant, after the C, it's a hard C and it will make the sound K. Let's go back and look at that list again. So you see under hard C, the letters after C here are A, O, and L. So there's no E, no I, and no Y after the C in those words. But under soft C, all of these words have an I, an E, an I, an E, and an E. So they all have I, E, or Y after the C. And that's how we know that those C's make the S sound, and the hard C's on the other column make K. So pause the video again and practice reading these example words of hard and soft C. These words are bicycle, rice, princess, and circle. In the words bicycle and circle, you actually have both a soft C, the first C in both words, and a hard C, the second C in both words. And you can tell that it's going to be like that because the first C is followed by either a Y or an I, so it's a soft C. And the second one in both words is followed by L, which is not I, E, or Y. So we know that has to be a hard C, or a K sound. There's one other rule to remember when reading words with a soft C, and that is that sometimes a soft C combines with a silent E, and when that is true, we have to remember three things. The first rule is that because of the silent E rule, the E at the end of the word is silent, and we know that because we've already learned what a silent E does. The second thing to remember is that because of the soft C rule, a C before the letter E will always make the S sound, or S, and that's what we were just talking about. When the C is followed by an E, an I, or a Y, it's always a soft C, or S. And then finally, like we've also learned when we've studied the silent E changes the vowel sound of the vowel before it. So it will make sure that that vowel is long. And when you have a soft C in the same word, it will actually be the vowel right before the C, which will be long. We can see this in the example word face. We look at the word first and see that the last letter is E, and it's a silent E, so we know we don't pronounce the E. The next thing we look at is that the C has the letter E after it, so that means it has to be a soft C, and it will sound like S. So far, we know that this word ends with a sound S because the C makes that sound and the E is silent. And finally, because of the silent E rule, we know that the middle vowel, or the vowel before the C, will have to be long. In this case, that vowel is A, and instead of making the A sound, it will make the A sound, the long A sound, which is the same as the word day. So when we put that all together, we get the word face, or face. Try it with these words on your own. You can pause the video again and practice reading these words that have both the soft C and the silent E. These words are lace, mice, ice, and race. All of these words use the soft C and the silent E.